Okay, we're back. Okay. Yeah, there was a problem with the audio. My apologies. For some reason, my mic was turned off. I apologize. You should be able to hear me now. We should be back on. Yes, everybody good? All right, good. So let me just recap very, very quickly.
Right.
What I was talking about was, hold on, I just want to make sure this is off. Okay, good. So we have the audio now. So what I was talking about are the 4 qualities, the 4 things you've got to focus on if you want to turn 2014 into a really good year. Quality number 1 is your confidence. Must have a good, strong sense of confidence. And this cannot be the kind of a rah-rah confidence. Let me just, I'm distracted. I see myself on the video and I can't help noticing this sexy beast talking to you. Anyway, the confidence I'm talking about is from within, from the inside. Where when you're face-to-face with a customer, whether it's a buyer or a seller, you feel really good. You feel good about what you do, about what you're capable of, your skills, your abilities. So that's number 1. Number 2 is your market expertise. You must know your market really well. The example I was giving you, imagine we're in the car, we're driving down the street, and there's a new listing. You can tell me, that's a split level, 4-bedroom, 3-bath home. It should be listed for $497. That's the price range that's moving right now in this neighborhood for this type of property. It's going to take 30 days to sell, and it will sell for about $490, $492. These homes go really well. There's a lot of demand for them. Must be an expert. There are only a few things you got to do. Preview a lot of properties, study the market. It takes about a month or 2 to really become that kind of confident expert. How you communicate. What happens when you generate leads, the phone rings, and you have a conversation? Within about 4 seconds, that customer on the phone decides, we like this guy. We trust this guy. We respect him. We want to do business with him. 4 seconds. You know what happens in the rest of the conversation? They're collecting evidence, not consciously, obviously, this happens subconsciously, to support that decision. But the decision, most of the time, has already been made. So you got to be really careful. You got to master that, how you communicate, the questions you ask, how you talk to these people, how you segue from finding questions without interrogating them to setting up an appointment. How do you come across when you first meet them face to face? Let's say it's a for sale by owner, you stop by, you have a little chat with them. Are you able to develop this kind of trust and rapport with them quickly? Because as you already know from everything that I showed you so far and I taught you, it comes down to they like you, they trust you, and they respect you. That's it. That's it. The rest is just how you get there, through your marketing, through your communication. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. Now let's go to the phones. What do you say? Let's chat. Let's see who we have on the line. Okay, here we go. All right, this is Borino. Welcome. Who is this? Hey, who is this? Area code 410. This is Borino. Welcome to the tune-up. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Who is this?
This is Betty Williams in Maryland.
Betty, thank you very much for calling in. How are you doing?
I'm just great. The only way I can hear you is on my cell phone with this number I just called in. Yeah, you're still muted on my computer and my cell phone, except for your phone number.
It should be going now. If you reload that page and you put your... Yeah, I'm playing it right now.
All right.
The audio is back on the video stream. You can say on the phone, Betty. It is cool. But the sound is already going on the stream as well. So if you're watching on YouTube or watching on the Listing University Live, you should be good.
I hear you now.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, great.
Anything you wanted to chat about, Betty?
No, I just wanted to tell you I just couldn't hear you except for my cell phone, but I'm all set now.
You're all good. Outstanding. So for those of you guys, thanks, Betty. Appreciate the heads up. And that was a goof on
you're welcome, dear. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you. So that was Betty letting us know we were offline for a while. And I think this is Jose. Am I right? Jose, can you hear me? There will be a delay, so pay attention.
Yes,
you're going to hear me on the phone. Jose, are you there?
Yes, very nice. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you doing, Jose? Thanks for being on the tune-up.
Doing good, thank you. My question is, I have been working the last couple of weeks on knocking doors and getting on the files, and I have not been able to get into a listing appointment yet. So I perceive that there is something that I need to do, an extra thing to get there.
So you've been knocking on doors.
Yeah.
Now, these doors you knock on, Jose, these are expireds, or who are these leads?
Expired, yeah.
Expired.
I got expired, and I introduce myself.
Uh-huh.
I leave you my small resume, a business card.
Okay.
And that's it. So, but I don't know how to get to the next level.
Okay. Do you have a conversation with these people, Jose? Is anybody home when you knock on the door?
Yeah, most of them are very laid back, so they don't get very interested, or they are scary, or
Yeah.
But I try to engage with them, and I ask if they are still selling. Most of them say not for the moment, or there are others that are selling by owner.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I just leave it there. So I don't know exactly how to try to push a little bit more, or how to engage them on a better conversation, probably.
Yeah, very good question, Jose. I'm going to give you some tips. First of all, just the fact that you're going to the door and you're able to have a conversation with them is excellent. It's a great start. You're mastering a new skill, so give yourself some time to really get good at this. You will not get good at it overnight. It doesn't happen that fast. It's going to take a few tries, and it's going to take some trial and error, and some people will be put off by it no matter what you do or what you say. So just stay with it. You're doing the right thing. Face-to-face meeting with the customer, with the for sale by owner and the expireds, or whatever lead you have, is by far the easiest, fastest way to build the trust, the rapport with them, and the connection you need, so they like you, trust you, and respect you as an expert, so they will do business with you. So that's one. There are a couple of things you can do to really master this. First thing I would suggest, Jose, is get a role play partner. Get someone. This could be someone in your office. When I started doing this, I went to a Mike Ferry seminar, and that's one of the things he taught me. He says, get a partner, role play, practice. I mean, think about it this way. Anybody who makes a lot of money, actors, entertainers, athletes, would someone like, I don't know, Lady Gaga, go on stage and perform a song live, just out of blue? No. What would she do first? Rehearse, practice. Actors, before a play is put on a stage, before they step in front of a camera to do a movie, there's a lot of rehearsals, a lot of practice. You must do the same. So what I did was, after the workshop, teamed up with my buddy Tony. Tony, if you happen to watch this, he's still probably in Montebello, California with Remax, good guy, my buddy Tony. We used to practice every morning for 20, 30 minutes, cup of coffee, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we just role play. How do you open a conversation with expired? What are the questions you ask for sole by owner? How do you set up an appointment? How do you handle some objections? And we just go back and forth. Not a whole lot of feedback. It wouldn't be more about critiquing and fine-tuning it. No, it would more be like sparring, just boom, boom, boom. It's like when you practice tennis. You stand in front of that wall and you just keep hitting it until you start hitting it right. So we did the same thing. Jose, if you really want, and everybody else, you guys, if you want to get good at this stuff, get a partner, start role-playing quickly. And I promise you, within 3-4 weeks, you will notice a huge difference. How you feel, how you come across, how they respond to you. Get that confidence by accelerating, by practicing with a partner. So that's one. The second thing I would recommend is get a little recorder and record yourself. One of those little pocket recorders, one of those digital recorders, pick it up for $30, $40 on Amazon or on Staples. Get one of those things. Listen to yourself. Pay attention. Do I come across confident? Am I really engaged in the conversation? Do I listen to what they're saying? Am I asking a lot of questions, or do I just do a lot of talking? One of the biggest revelations for me when I started using the recorders, I always thought, well, I'm pretty good. I'm asking questions. They do most of the talking. Bullshit. It was horrible. I was talking most of the time. I would interrupt them. I would complete their sentences. I was nervous. I came across as needy, low status, not very interesting. So be careful. Get one of those little tools, okay? Jose, the third thing I would suggest is do it a lot. Go talk to a lot of people. And then pay attention, where does the breakdown occur? And here's what I mean by that. When an expired listing tells you, we don't know what we're going to do, or we're going to sell on our own, or we're probably realists with the same agent, what they're really telling you is one thing, usually. We don't trust you yet. We don't trust you. We don't know if we can trust you. We got burned by a previous agent who was a bozo, didn't get the job done. So we don't want to make the same mistake twice. So it's not necessarily just about you specifically. This can be, we don't trust real estate agents in general, which is very often a situation with expireds. Or maybe you personally, maybe there's something you come across. What usually happens, what triggers this kind of response usually, is you come across as needy. And what I mean by that is there is a sense of desperation or neediness to get the listing. You really want that listing, which on one hand is great. You want to be passionate, you want to be helpful. But the attitude needs to shift from I need the listing to I want to help. Let's see if we get along. Let's see if we click. Let's see if you and I have the right chemistry. Let's see you qualify to be one of my sellers. And you don't mean this in an arrogant kind of a salesy way. You mean it genuinely. You don't get along with everybody. You don't do business with everybody. Just like they will choose sometimes another agent over you, you have the same right to do the same thing. Being needy, being desperate, being too hungry for the listing, and being just another salesperson, quick red flag, boom. The alarm goes off and you're dead. So watch out for that. The best way to determine that is by role-playing. Your partner can give you feedback. Oh, that came really needy. You sounded desperate. And listening to yourself. And the last thing I will give you, Jose, is practice the right dialogues. There are certain triggers and certain ways the dialogues are constructed, especially if you're my Expired Plus customer, that will help you help them set up a conversation that's pleasant, that's flowing. So just follow it. So when you talk to them on the phone, just say, you're probably getting bugged by a lot of agents, I'm sure. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? So where did you guys want to go? What did you want to do? Where did you want to move to? What is it about, insert whatever, Florida, that attracted you? Why did you want to go down there? It's awesome. How soon would you like to be there? Yes, go ahead.
I heard you a lot talking about Florida, but I am Florida, so I don't know where the people go from here to.
Okay. See, one of the things you need to know is find out what is, one of the most important things that you need to find out is this.
Okay.
CDE. CDE. And it stands for core driving emotion. Core means it's in their core. This is not the surface stuff that you hear at the beginning. Oh, we need a bigger house. It is in their core. That's why it's called core. The D stands for driving. And this means this is not just some kind of a desire or a whim. This is a driving force that's really driving them. And there are only two. One is pain, and the other one is pleasure. There are the only two reasons people move. That's it. That's it. That's either something really, really painful that's pushing them away, and it could be that it's the safety of the neighborhood. It can be that the house is really, really small, they're getting cramped. It can be all kinds of stuff. But it is always core and driving pain or core driving pleasure, desire for pleasure. What could be pleasure? Living on a golf course, retirement, being close to a family, having a prestigious home. There are about 12 or 13 emotions that drive people. You need to know what they are. And then it's always an emotion. It's always an emotion. What drives them is never a logical decision where they add up the numbers, they list pros and cons. And even if people do that, if they think we're making a logical decision, they don't. They will always make an emotional decision. It is always an emotional decision, 100%. What happens is after the decision is made, based on pain and pleasure, it gets rationalized by facts. And if the facts support that emotion, they move forward. If it doesn't, they reevaluate. But that's always how the process works. Your job, Jose and everybody else, is to find out what it is. And more importantly, not just what it is, what their core driving emotion is, and it can be multiple. It can be 2 or 3. It can also be different from husband, different for wife, different for family. But there's always an emotion and how intense it is. Now, why is that important to know? Number one, the way you communicate with them. You would approach a seller who is 3 months behind on a mortgage, a lot of pain, very differently and communicate different and ask different questions than someone who says, we would really like to be close to our grandkids. A lot of pleasure driving force. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now, the next part to that is you must know how intense the emotion is. How bad do they want it? How much of the driving force, that's the D, is there? Because if it's not a whole lot, what are you going to end up with? Unmotivated seller, unreasonable demands, overpriced listing, negotiating on commissions. They will hammer you on commission because it doesn't matter to them a whole lot. It doesn't drive them a whole lot. You must become an expert determining what it is and how intense it is. And that requires some skill. Where do you get that skill? Some from practice, obviously, some from experience, and some from really doing this a lot. That's where it's going to come from. All right, Jose? So those are the things I would suggest. Start practicing. Do it a lot. Get good at the dialogues. Don't just wing it. Ask a lot of questions. Come across as high status, pleasant, helpful authority. Not a salesperson. Definitely not a needy salesperson. But a cool guy who's there to help. Aren't you? Jose? Are you still here?
Yep.
Are you helpful? You're a helpful guy. How long have you been in real estate, Jose?
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half. So you know enough now what it takes to help people, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are the answers. Now, sometimes, especially if their core driving emotion is high and they really, really, really wanted to move and it doesn't work out, the property expires. There's a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of resentment and anger and frustration. And it may take some time for you to develop enough trust with them and give them a chance to get over it, move on, and reevaluate what they want to do next. And it takes patience. What do you have to do? Follow up. Keep in touch with them. Just because you didn't click right away and set up an appointment right away at the door, sometimes it happens, but sometimes it doesn't. Don't give up on them. Don't give up. Stay in touch with them. Have a little conversation and you can tell them, Jose, I really enjoyed chatting with you. Now I understand you guys are not ready right away. I don't blame you. I'd be kind of frustrated and disappointed myself. But let me ask you, what if down the road you guys say, you know what, we want to try again? What if I could find you a good, qualified, nice buyer, somebody who would really like your house and appreciate it as much as you have? Would you still consider going? Yes or no? And they will answer. And they say, well, how don't we do this? Why don't I keep in touch with you? I don't want to bother you. It's not going to be pestering you or anything, but there may be some helpful information, new listings in the area, new sales, what's going on in the market. Always good to know whether you'll be ready in a week, month, or maybe a year, 2 years from now. I'll send you some cool stuff once in a while. Maybe I'll give you a call once in a while. Would that be okay with you? You'd be surprised. Most people say, yeah, sure. Why not? If you come across as pleasant and helpful, they have really no reason to turn you down. So if they are turning you down, you need to adjust something the way you connect with people and the way you communicate with people. Does that make sense, Jose?
Yes, totally. I will review that and start the practicing.
Yeah, and you just have to do it a lot. Don't get stuck on just one. Do it a lot. Yes?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Jose, thanks for the call. Awesome. All right, you guys, here's the number again. You want to chat with Borino? Here it is. It's 805-399-1200. Code is 143153, and you have to hit the pound sign. And then *6 to be put in a queue. All right, our next area code 210. Who is this? Hey, welcome to the Borino Tune-Up.
Borino, hey, it's Mary Fritzy.
Mary, darling, how are you?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Sorry about the little audio snafu. Can you hear me okay now? Is everything good?
That's okay. I dialed in right away when I saw I was just watching your lips move, so I got in at the beginning.
Awesome.
Hey, Borino, remember Presentation Plus in D.C. earlier in September?
Yes.
You made me commit to getting an assistant.
We did a workshop. What was it, in September or what month was it? Do you remember, Mary?
It's September.
It was in September. We did a workshop for about 25 of my students, how to do a killer listing presentation. We spent a weekend together working on a good listing presentation, and Mary was one of the students. So, and one of the assignments I gave you guys is get an assistant, right?
Yes. Well, I have a gainfully employed assistant as of today.
Wonderful.
Actually, we've been working together for like the last 3 weeks or so.
That is very cool.
And things are going really well. She's got my top producer straightened out, and we've got the Expired Plus campaign built in, and we are sending letters and staying on top of daily tasks. And I actually received a call from a prospect that I'd been sending letters to. And a situation came up, and I didn't handle it the way that I had wished I had. So I need your advice on where to go from here.
Okay, let's do it. So give me a little background.
All right. Well, first of all, I was driving in the car, and I didn't have his file in front of me, so I had no idea exactly what property we were talking about, whether it was, I do a lot of land sales, so I didn't know whether it was a lot listing or a home.
So was this a buyer call? This was a buyer call you received?
Yeah. So here's how the call went. It was an unknown number to me. I answered it. He said,
Mary, you've been sending me some letters, and you sent me a nickel, and I thought I would go ahead and give you a call back.
Okay.
So he had received my letter with the nickel.
Yes.
And I said, well, wonderful. And so we started talking a little bit. And I realized that it was a lot in a very exclusive gated community out here where I live. And so I knew I was dealing with a lot. It was a lot. So when I had no idea really where the motivation was. You know, some people must sell their lots, and some people just throw it out there to see if they can get it sold. Mm-hmm. But here's what happened. He said, well, and I hate this question, so maybe you can. I know one thing I didn't do is ask enough questions, but remember, I'm driving in like very heavy traffic, and I probably should have asked him to let me call him back when I could collect myself, but I went ahead and engaged in a conversation with him. But
well, let me stop you there, Mary. Let's take it apart before you go any further, and this is good for everybody else. Watch this. Mary already has the answer to what she's about to ask.
Well, I know some of the answer, but so he says to me, what can you do for me that all these other 15 agents that are marketing to me can't do?
All right. Do you want to role play that?
Oh, no, I did already, and I was
all right, let me be the agent, Mary.
Let's do it.
Let me be the agent, then. I'll show you how I would handle it. See if this would be helpful. First thing, you're absolutely right. Here's how I'd handle it. Mary, thank you so much for the call. I was really looking forward to chatting with you. That's why I sent you this letter. I'm in the middle of really heavy traffic, and I don't want to crash. I think this call is very important. I'll be in my office in 25 minutes. Can I call you at this number?
Yes, you can call me back. But listen, I just wanted to ask you, I'm kind of, I haven't relisted yet, but the folks that have my listing right now, they're on site, and, they've been doing, I don't know why we haven't got anybody in here to buy this lot, but well, tell me real quick what you would do that would be any different than what they're doing.
Mary, I'm in heavy traffic right now. I'll be in my office in about 25 minutes. May I call you back at the same number?
Well, sure. I guess so. I might not be available, but if you want to give me a call, I'll see if we can connect again.
Is there a time where you know you will be available?
Well, I've got a meeting at 1 o'clock, and then it'll probably take me all the way through until about 2:30.
Okay. How about if I call you at 2:45? Would that work for you? And we'll spend about 10-15 minutes chatting on the phone.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Sure.
Looking forward to it. Now, watch what happened. Who was in control?
You were definitely in control.
How can you be a high-status agent and give up control of the conversation to the client? Is it possible?
Exactly, and it's miserable.
It's miserable, right? You surrender the control. Why do you do that? There's a simple answer to that.
I don't know why I did that. He caught me off guard, number one.
Yes.
I wasn't prepared.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I got into a conversation with him that I realized how unprepared I was. And then he got a real pompous attitude with me,
but guess why?
I could feel myself getting offensive.
Yes. Why do you think he kept that attitude?
I guess he didn't like what I was saying. I don't know.
Because,
he didn't trust me.
Exactly. He is looking for someone who is high status, professional agent, somebody who he can trust, not a salesperson, needy. Now, the moment I'm willing to give up control, I become needy. What does that mean?
Yes.
I want that listing. Oh my God, here's a live client. He's calling me back. That's awesome. I'm excited. I can't lose this listing. One simple word. I'm going to write it on the board. I know you can't see it because you're on the phone. Here was your driving force. Everybody see it? Fear. Fear. You became, and that's a normal reaction, Mary. This is not me beating you up, but it is a natural reaction. If I don't have enough leads, if I don't have enough listings, if I don't have enough business, and suddenly somebody does call me back, the excitement is based on fear.
Yeah.
Because if I'm comfortable, if I feel good about what I do and how I operate and who I am, and a client calls me, this is not a good time. I'm going to call you back. And no matter what they say, I don't deviate from that. Because it's not based on fear, it's based on confidence. I'm still helpful. I want to help. I'm looking forward to chatting with you. Appreciate the call back. That's awesome. I wanted to chat with you. That's why I sent you the letter. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
But this is not a good time for me. You must, what am I saying? You must respect my time and my desires, and I will respect yours. But it needs to be respect. The reason then he got pissy with you, because he realized you are, and that's why he asked you that question, you've become just another agent.
Yep.
Willing to drop everything, willing to give up the status, willing to give up everything just for a possibility of a listing.
Right.
It was.
Well, what do you recommend that I do with him now? Should I mean, now I've got I didn't have his phone number before, and since he's called me, I've mailed him probably 2 postcards and 3 letters. So should I continue to market to him? Should I call him back and say, listen, when we chatted, I wasn't in a position. I wasn't in a position. I was in traffic, and but now I'm sitting here and I have your file, and I'd like to discuss this with you.
Absolutely. I mean, what do you have to lose at this point? What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
He can say, you know what, get lost, and hang up. That's the worst that can happen. What's the best that can happen? Or I have a better question for you.
What would you say to somebody? I hate that question. So how are you any different than anybody else? How do you overcome, that sarcasm and get that out of the way so that you can present to them who you really are?
Okay, you want to role play it real quick? I'll be the agent. I'll make it easy on you.
Okay.
All right. So we have a little conversation. We had a couple of conversations before. There is a certain level of trust and rapport there already. Obviously, I can't do this cold. But we never met in person, right?
Right.
Okay. So throw it at me.
Okay. Well, I am kind of satisfied with the service that I'm getting, but I've got a few people that are calling me, and why don't you tell me why I should go with you? What would make you any different than all these other agents that are calling me?
Mary, that's one of the best questions you can possibly ask. Here's the problem. I can lie to you over the phone just to get the listing. No matter what I say, you have no way of knowing whether I'm being sincere or honest. Now, I don't lie to my clients, so the simple answer I will give you is I will get the job done. This is not an empty promise, this is a commitment. The difference between an empty promise and commitment is I will stay with you and I will do whatever it takes to get a good qualified buyer, make sure the offer is good, we negotiate good terms for you, make sure the property sells on time for a price that you would be happy with, and it closes without hassles, without problems. Is that an agent?
So how are you going to do that?
I'll tell you how. Why don't we get together for about 15 minutes, 30 maybe, if you have a lot of questions. I'd be happy to answer them. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how much would a qualified buyer pay the most? What would be the best price we could possibly get for the lot? How much cash are you going to walk away with after we're done? How long will it take to get it done realistically? Plus, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to get that buyer. Why don't you come by to my office at 4:45 tomorrow? We'll spend 20, 30 minutes. See if we like each other, see if we get along. And if we do, we'll take it to the next step. What's your schedule like tomorrow?
Okay. All right. I get it. Now, what if they say, well, what's your marketing plan? Well, what do everybody does flyers. Everybody, knows other agents.
Mary, let me ask you a very personal question. Do you really care how I'm going to get it done as long as I get it done?
Oh, great. That's awesome. I like that.
You know what I mean?
Really
But this is, it goes back to, remember what I said at the beginning, one of the things you got to focus on is your confidence.
Yes.
Can a weak agent make a statement without signing like a script?
Exactly.
It's impossible.
You're right.
But if you trust your abilities, you tell them, you don't give a shit whether I do flyers or not. What you care about is get this done, find me a good buyer, let's get it closed. I will get it done. Now, if you really care how I'm going to do it, I will give you a copy of my marketing plan. It has 127 steps in it. And it's a checklist. You can go with me step by step as we're going through them. Will we need to do 127? I don't know. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So if you really want to know, I'll share that with you when I see you tomorrow. But frankly, do you really care?
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And you know what else I thought of after I disconnected with him? I should have, instead of letting him ask me the questions, I didn't ask enough questions. And one of the main questions I wish I had asked is, why do you think it hasn't sold?
Watch what I'm writing on the board. I don't know if you can see it.
There's a delay. I can hear you live real time, but there's a delay on my video, so I'm watching.
I'm glad you didn't see it. I misspelled the word control. Now, I'm not talking about being an asshole and being arrogant. I'm talking about being high status agent who is in control. The person that's asking most questions is in control of the conversation. High status person is in control of the conversation. Do I want a client to be in control of the conversation? What's the answer? No.
No, you need to stay in control.
No, you need to do it in a pleasant way so they enjoy the interaction. How do you do that? You ask relevant questions that matter to them, because what do they really want? They want an agent they can trust. They want somebody to help them. Why do you think he called you in the first place? If he had no interest and if he didn't believe you could get him, if you could help him, do you think he would bother to call you back?
Exactly.
Of course not.
Because this was a guy that I couldn't call because I couldn't find his phone number, and he actually called me, and I was so discouraged that I bombed the call. It wasn't a complete disaster.
Right.
I do think that I can probably salvage it, and I do need to. He is overpriced, and I do need to see where his, his core driving emotion is.
Exactly.
He's just out there messing around. He only gave these guys 90 days to sell a lot, and it takes a minimum of 6 months.
Notice what just Mary said. Very important. Mm-hmm. They gave him 90 days.
He might be somebody that I don't even want to work with, but
yes. Mary, let me just back up. Let me stop you real quick. Remember what I said at the beginning. You must be the authority. You must be the expert. Notice when Mary said they gave him 90 days. It takes 180 days to sell a lot. What does that tell me about her immediately? She knows what she's talking about. She's an expert. She's somebody she can be trusted. Because the moment I go on a listing appointment with this guy and says, I'm only going to list for 90 days, what can you say? You can say, it takes on average 180 days to get a lot sold. That would be like having half a tank of gas for a trip that requires a full tank. That would make sense. You wouldn't go on that trip.
Exactly.
Now, I understand why sellers do that.
When I saw his listing, I was like, why would anybody have taken that lot listing for 90 days?
You already know why.
Yeah.
Because they're desperate. They're needy.
Yeah.
It's the Las Vegas real estate. Hope. You know?
Yeah.
Because what if I get lucky?
Good stuff, Marino. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Mary, thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. Always nice talking with you.
Of course. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you. Life is good. Yes.
Yeah, I hear you.
That was Mary. For the rest of you guys, if you want to chat with me, here's the number. Hit *6 if you're in the queue. *6 on the phone. That will put you in the queue, and we can chat. But before I take the next call, that was a really good call, Mary. That was a really, really good question. I appreciate you asking this. All right, let me just pull up this comment that came on our private group on Facebook from Augustina. Augustina, thanks for posting it. If you don't mind, I'm going to answer it right now. Let me just read it to you. Looking for advice from experts. First of all, I am closing on one of my expired listings. Hooray, good for you. Hard negotiations, but hey, I'm from New York, usually get my way. As I was walking out of the listing the other day, the neighbor came over and asked me to look at his house. It's a little bit of a mess, but I can cope with that. The owner just wanted a price for what his house would sell for.
Next questioner.
Good to know. The owner just wanted to price... Hold on. Pam, I'm going to take you in just a moment. Sit tight and please mute your audio on the video feed. Let me just finish this question from Augustina. So anyway, this guy walks up to her and asks about the price. After badgering me for a price a couple of times, I told him that I would research it and get back to him. I sent him 2 emails, inviting him to meet with me that we could discuss. He has not replied, so I called him and his wife answered. She was as stern as he was about giving them the price. I was trying to get the appointment, however, all they want is the price. I want to keep them interested, but I also want to give the information on how I arrive at the price, etc. on my marketing plan. Since they will not meet me anyway, I think I will send them a mini presentation with comps. So what would you do if you had a seller who says, no, just give me the price. No, just give me the price. Would you give it to them? Would you give in? Would you give up control? Would you be a high status agent? Here's the answer. Number 1, you have no knowledge about their situation. They may be just trying to refinance, get insurance, whatever the reason is. Until you know their situation, what their CDE is, their core driving emotion, how can you help them? That'd be like going to the doctor and say, I'm not going to tell you what bothers me. I'm not going to tell you what hurts. Let me just turn this off. I'm not going to tell you what the problem is. I just want to give me some pills. The doctor would say, the door is that way. And yet real estate agents do this every day. You cave in. Why? Hope, 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 hope. Low status, needy. I need the listing. This has been a slow year. The market is crazy. A lot of agents competing. I'm going to take a chance. Maybe they will like me if I give them the price. What do they learn about you? That you're just another salesperson. They whistle and you jump. Right? Control. Control. Again, not the arrogant sales control. I'm talking high status control. I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert. If you and I decide to work together, here's how it's going to go. We're going to talk for about 15-20 minutes. There are some questions I would like to ask, and I'm sure you have some questions that you want to know about me. Then if we like each other, if we get along, we're going to set up a meeting. I'm going to take a look at your house, and then we'll arrive at the price, not how much your house is worth. That is not the issue here. Your house may be worth $3 million. What we're going to discuss is what would it take to get it sold in today's market. And then, if we agree, we're going to move forward. If not, no harm done. I will give you all the answers. My job is to provide you with all the answers. Your job then is to decide what's best for you. That's how I would handle it, Agustina. So that's step one. High status, here is how it's going to go. If they don't want to take those steps with you, guess what? They're not your client. They don't fit the parameter of a nice, friendly, polite people who appreciate you, like to do business with you, and are willing to pay for your service. Plus, they have a high core drive and emotion. If they don't fit that criteria, they're not your client. Don't worry about it. On to the next one, which is my second part. Second answer, or second part of the answer to you, Augustina, and everybody else. Don't get stuck on a single lead, ever. On a single expired, or a single for sale by owner, just a single client, single sell. There are plenty others out there. Going back to the mindset we talked about earlier, accept the reality is that there is a lot more business you can possibly handle. Look around, home being listed every day, homes being sold every day, transactions closing every day, agents making a lot of money every day. There's plenty out there. Never get stuck just on one. Usually, people get stuck on one if their marketing, their prospecting, and their advertising systems are not producing enough leads. Right? Suddenly we get like, ooh, desperate. There are only 3 moving parts to this business. Might as well show you that now. You want to have a kick-ass 2014? Look at this. These are the 3 things you need to focus on. 80% of your effort, time, money, and energy needs to be spent on these. Part 1, leads. Lead generation. Systems. Where do you get your leads? Active. Not passive, where you sit for somebody to come to your blog or come to your Facebook. You being out there, generating leads actively. That's 1. What do we get from there? Once you have the lead systems in place, part 2 is appointments. Where do these come from? From a good follow-up. Good follow-up. F-U, not what you think. Follow-up. Dirty minds. So first you focus on leads. That's usually where the problem lies. You're not generating enough people who want to do business, who need to buy or sell in the next 3, 6, 9 months. Focus on that first. Once you have that in place, a couple of systems in place for sell by owners, expireds, open houses, whatever systems, there are about 40 ways to generate leads these days. Focus on your follow-up so you start getting appointments. Keep in touch with these people like Mary. That guy that called, one of the first things I would have done is send him a thank you note, handwritten, nice little note. Nice little personal touch as a follow-up. Once you have these 2 in place, what's the step 3? What do you get out of appointments? Listings, which is good listing presentation. That's it. These are the 3 moving parts of this business. That's it. There are no other secrets. There's nothing else you should be doing. 80% of your time, money, effort, and focus must be spent on these. You want to have a really good 2014? 80% of your time spent on looking for leads, prospecting systems, marketing systems, advertising systems. 80% of follow-up, 80% listing presentation. If what you're doing will not result in leads, appointments, or listings, don't do it. Either delegate it, cancel it, have somebody else do it, figure out another way. That's not your job. Leads, appointments, and listings is your job. That's it. Okay? Now, let's see who we have on the phone. Let's get to the phone. All right. So thanks for that, Augustina. Hope this helped. Follow up with them. Definitely get in touch with them again if you can. But I wouldn't overthink it too much. If they're not playing by your rules that you believe are helpful steps to help your clients, they're not your client. let him go. Don't worry about it. Está bien? All right. Let me just get to the phone. Pam, can you hear me? It's Maureen.
I can.
Hi, Pam. Welcome to the tune-up.
How are you?
I'm doing excellent, and you?
Good. This is fantastic. I'm so glad I got in on this.
Awesome. Good to have you. So, what's on your mind? How can I help?
Well, the last two questions really were incredibly helpful to me, and even in your beginning part too about what you need: confidence, marketing expertise, be able to communicate. So I lack confidence because I don't have a good listing presentation.
Okay.
So you had said, you had this, you had a class recently on how to do a killer listing presentation.
Yeah.
And that's what I need. So I need to figure out how to do that.
Yes.
Do you have something that you can, that I can sign up for, that I can purchase? Because
Pam,
that's what I need.
This will sound like we made an agreement before the call.
I know, but it did. It's like I get your emails all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like, kind of sorting through the whole thing is a little bit tricky.
Sure.
And after I listen to all of this stuff, I'm like, yeah, this is what I need. I know.
And I tell you, you're making a really good point. This is one of those things. You know how you look back at your life or your career and you kind of identify certain points where you go, what the hell was I thinking? I figured out marketing pretty early on. I figured out communication. I learned those things from masters like Dan Kennedy, the book you should all pick up, Jay Abraham, all these guys. You know where I kept screwing up? I was getting all these leads. I was even going on appointments. But then I would either end up with overpriced duds that would take months and months and months to sell, if at all, or some other agent took the listing, I wouldn't get the listing at all. And it took me forever to figure out my listing presentation sucks. Why am I working my ass off like an idiot and then I blow it or at the kitchen table? That was a big revelation for me. I don't know why it took me so long in my career to figure this out, that there's got to be a better way to present. So here's what I did. I completely revamped my listing presentation. But here was the problem. I've been teaching you guys this stuff for many, many years. I could never figure out how to teach somebody else how to do what I did during my listing presentations. Once I got it down, my presentation ratio went to about 90%. That means out of 10 appointments, I would get 9 listings. But it took me forever to finally figure out how to teach you guys so that you would get it, so you don't have to just copy me like a monkey. Where you will get it and you will be able to still be yourself, but still be effective. And that was a big process for me. And then there was finally a book called Sell Anything. Great book, by the way. You should get it. Really, really good book. Where the guy breaks it down, the process. I'm like, holy shit, that's my listing presentation. He's talking about me. And the light bulb went off, and then I put a system together. And the system is called Presentation Plus. So if you go to listingpresentationplus.com, it's a website, you can buy the whole thing. And you will get 2 things. You will get a set of videos where I will walk you through the process, Pam. What to do before your appointment, how to confirm the appointment, things you can say and why they work, how to prepare a pre-listing package, all the stuff you do before you meet with a client. That's part 1. And we break it down into very simple steps. Then part 2 is, what do you do during your presentation? And again, I break it down for you. Here's what I'm doing and why. You will also see a video of me actually doing a listing presentation, and then a following video where I break it down for you. Watch this. Watch the reaction. This is what I'm doing there. This is why I'm doing it. One of the most critical part of it is pricing. You don't want to have that arm wrestle match with your clients. Oh, no, it should be $490. No, it should be $450. You know what I mean? You eliminate that. There's a process called decoupling, emotional decoupling. And I'll walk you through it. So the entire presentation is there. And then what you do after the presentation. Even if you don't get the listing, there's still a way to lock it in later. So that's part 1. Part 2 of the program is you will get the slides. These are multimedia slides. They use audio, they use video, they use animation to take your seller on this ride. It's like a roller coaster ride. They go on with you so that you have that sense. You know how sometimes you click with people, Pam, and you just feel like you're really on the same page? Mm-hmm. Like they're really getting what you're saying and you're getting their point of view and their questions, where they coming from. Well, you will be able to duplicate that almost every single time. Because there is a way to do that without manipulation. I'm not talking like being a sleazy salesman where, oh, you have beautiful kids and I like puppies too. You know, none of that bullshit. It's more like you come in as an advisor, as an expert, and you are perceived as someone they can look up to and someone they trust. And there's a way to do that. There is a process you can, not very complicated, but there is a certain precision to it that if you execute, they will perceive you as authority, someone that, where they can open up to you, where they can ask you honest, sincere questions, where they don't hold back, there's no game going on. So check it out. I think it's the best program I've ever put together. I think it's really, really cool. And here's the fun part. Once you really master it, and it shouldn't take you more than about 30 days to really get the hang of it, people that use it, and I have tons of people now who are using the Presentation Plus, will tell you all the same thing. It is the easiest way to present. Because there is no tension. There is no me against them. We're in this together. Let's figure this out together. Let's make this work. Okay, so that's what the program is about. Now, I don't want this to be a commercial or infomercial for Presentation Plus, but it's the fastest way to learn all this.
Yeah. Well, so the follow up to this is part of the reason the presentation stinks is because I'm also not confident in like the marketing part of it.
Yeah.
So that's got to be part of your presentation because, like you said, what I loved was when you said on that other question, because this is everybody always wants to know all these little details as to exactly what you're going to do, and it's like, does it really matter that I'm going to tell you that I'm going to put it on my website when every single listing that goes on an MLS is already published to like hundreds of websites? Do you really think that somebody is not going to find your home when they look for it on the internet if it's not on my personal website? I mean, I don't say this to people, but this is what I'm thinking, because people just want to know that their property, they like to see it on a piece of glossy paper, or they like to think that it's going to have some dedicated website, which really doesn't matter at all.
But you know why? There's a reason why they want to know that, and there's a reason I devote not much, but a small portion of the presentation where you do go over some of your marketing steps. There's a reason for that. Remember when we talked about the CDE, the core driving emotion? Then their brain looks for logical evidence that supports that decision. That's why you offer it. You offer it not as, look how fabulous I am and look at all these things I'm going to do. It is more of a reassurance. You're going to make the right decision. I'm a competent expert and I know what I'm doing. That's the only reason. Do they really care? No, they don't. What they really want is a feeling of, we made the right decision. Pam is the right, right choice for us. That's the reason you want to mention it. Now, some people, Pam, will be more interested in the exact steps. And that's why part of the package you're going to get is a brochure of all the steps you do. Now you're going to customize and modify it a little bit based on your personality, your market, and all that. But these are the steps you take before you take the listing, during the listing, and then at closing to make sure the transaction is smooth. And it's just like a checklist. And there are about 120 or 130 steps. So that if they do really want to have the granular information, you can hand it to them. And you say, you can follow this with me, follow along as we go through the process all the way to when I hand you the closing papers and the check at the end. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. And that's why when I forgot her name, but the two callers back when she said, the question I hate, what can you do for me that the others, and I'm like groaning at the same time, because that's the same thing. It's like, well, what are you going to do for me? And that's where I kind of fall apart.
Well, one of the answers, and again, and that's a really good question, you're going to get that. What they're really asking is, can we trust you? That's really underneath it all. You know, they don't want to get burned, especially if it's an expired that they got burned once or twice before.
Yeah.
They will be very careful now. Now, here's one of the answers you can give, and then use your judgment. This is not a script like a dialogue spiel that I'm going to give you, but occasionally this works really well, Pam. You can tell them, Pam, I'm going to get it done. Yeah. And I'm not going to quit until it's done. You have my word.
Yeah.
And it is not about listing your house.
The thing, and the thing about that is, and that's what I want to tell people, and that's what I sometimes tell people depending on the person, because it's the truth. I'm going to stick with it.
Yes.
I am going to stick with it to the bitter end no matter what.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter, you know, and I just was never really sure if that was a good answer, but now you confirm that that's definitely a good answer, because that's like my best quality, is that I'm going to communicate with you, I'm going to stick with it, I'm going to do everything it takes. Do you care what like those 3,000 steps might be, and maybe we don't need them all, but awesome.
Yeah, good. I'm glad I helped him. Do me a favor, keep me posted, get the presentation plus, let me know what you think. What Mary was talking about, again, please, this is not an infomercial for Presentation Plus, but what we did was we got together for a weekend where all the students that already have the program wanted to really master it quickly, so we mastered it in a weekend. It was a lot of fun. We will do it again next year, so I will invite you, Pam. Where do you sell? Where are you?
In Pennsylvania.
So you're not that far.
I don't know, where are you?
I'm in D.C.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not bad. Good.
So you'll come down. Awesome. Good.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Pam.
Yep.
All right, we got Jessica on the line. Welcome to the Borino Tune-Up. Are you getting tuned up?
Yeah. How you doing?
Who is this?
My name's David Thomas. I actually just bought some of your materials.
Oh, hey, Dave. For some reason,
thank
it
you
shows
for taking
Jessica
my
here
call.
on the caller ID.
Okay.
I'm like, damn, dude, you don't sound like Jessica.
Oh, you know why? I don't know why that is. That's very interesting. Oh, okay. The account is in my wife's name.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, yeah.
I'm like,
Very
Jessica,
good
lay
call,
off
man.
on the cigarettes, man. There is something going on. What's up,
Yeah.
Dave?
Well, I had a couple questions, but one was along the same lines, and it's probably just a variation on a theme, but when someone insists on wanting to know what your commission rate is, you know, you're wanting to set an appointment, but they're saying, well, can you just tell me what you charge for your fees and that
Yeah.
kind of thing?
Yeah. Why do you think they're asking it? So here is a general rule I'm going to give you guys. This is a really good, helpful tip. Dave, I hope you're not falling down while we talk. But here is something. If you understand why they're asking it, it's much easier to come up with an answer. Are they asking about your commission because they're concerned about every dollar because it's, let's say, a short sale situation? Or are they asking it because they have 5 agents lined up and they will strictly decide who they're going to go with based on the rate? Different situation will require a different approach. So you need to know. The more you know about them, the more you know about their core driving emotion, why they're doing it, how soon they want to be there, how intense the pain or pleasure it is, the easier it is to. But as a general answer to any price, commission, any of these questions, you give them a very generic answer, and it is this. Dave, I'm really glad you brought that up. That's very important. How much cash you're going to put in your pocket, super important. I have several commission plans. I'm sure that when we get together tomorrow, we're going to pick one that works for you, that's fair for everybody. Okay?
Okay.
That's it. Never, ever,
Okay.
ever, never, ever, ever. Let me write that down. Never. N-E-V-E-R. Never talk about price, commission, or specifics until you sit down with them on a listing appointment. Never.
Now, when you say you have several plans,
Yeah.
You really don't have several plans. You really...
Oh, no, I do.
It's just...
I
you
do.
So would
Yes.
you suggest that I actually put together a marketing plan that goes...
I would recommend have at least 2 alternatives, because occasionally, especially in a competitive market, especially if you have agents who are willing to cut commissions deeply, it's going to be an issue. It's going to come up once in a while. So I would recommend have a plan. Have a plan. One of the plans you can have is, what's your standard commission? Like, what's your normal average going rate commission?
Out here, I'm in California, so you tell me if I'm right, because I'm new to the area.
Okay.
Where I come from in Ohio was 6%, 7%, but out here the cost of houses are much more. So, and I'm new to this market.
Yeah.
So it's my understanding it's 5% to 6%.
That's about right. So 5 to 6. So let's just use 6% as an average. Okay? So one of the plans you can have is, well, okay, if we really want to sell quickly, I want to get the top dollar for it, and this is something you cover during your presentation, not before. But that's what you do. You tell them during the presentation if the commission issue comes up. Okay? So you tell them 3%, the best commission to go with, because we're going to get a lot of interest, a lot of people will be interested in the house, a lot of agents will be showing, we may even get multiple offers. This is what causes property to sell quickly. Okay? And then you can elaborate if you want to. However, if they question it, if they want to save money, you say, well, I also have this plan. We still offer 3% to the other agent. I'm going to do it for 2%, but you're going to write me a deposit for $4.99. It's a non-refundable marketing deposit. It's going to save you about, and then based on the price you tell them, this is going to save you about $3,000 once the property sells. Most people don't want to write you the check. They would rather go with this, the 3%. But you offer them alternative. So have an alternative. Now, the second thing I'm going to give you, Dave, is, especially as a new agent, be reasonable. To me, sometimes making 2% on a deal is better than making 0% on a deal. And if you have a good rapport with them, if the presentation is going well, if you think they have a good core driving emotion, you have a good strong rapport with them, you know you can get the property sold. If the only cliffhanger is the commission, be reasonable. Because if you sell a $600,000 house, even 12 grand is pretty good.
Sure.
You know? So don't get stuck too much on it. As you get better at it, as you generate a lot more leads, as the funnels are bringing a lot more business, you can adjust. But especially at the beginning, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Yes?
No.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And a follow-up with that, do you feel that being part of Realtor.com or Truly or Zillow is important for us as agents?
In what way?
Well, in that you can promote the listing more on Realtor.com, for example, being a featured listing, or on Zillow to be able to bring it up towards the top of the list that way.
Now, let me ask you this, and this varies based on what type of market, what type of properties you sell, etc. But here's my question. If you don't put that, if you have a good listing, and you don't put it on Zillow, you don't put it on Realtor.com, will it still sell?
Well, I know that it will still sell, but I also know that my competition has these relationships with these companies, and it feels like, I'm being judged for not having a relationship with these companies too.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure.
See? If you're sure, then yes, do what your competition does right. And if being on Zillow, and sometimes it's beneficial, no question about it, it adds extra exposure, plus it's a nice little feature you can mention during a listing presentation. So I'm not against it, don't get me wrong. But also consider this. Just like we talked with Pam and everybody and Mary before you, do sellers really care how you get the listing sold? If they trust you, if they like you, and if they respect you, they don't care. They don't care. They hand it off to you. They have other things to worry about. If they know they're in good hands and you're an expert. Now, if they don't trust you, if they don't think you're an expert, they will question every single step you take. And more important, they will start telling you, well, when are you going to do an open house, Dave? When are you going to bring those flyers? They will take control suddenly because they've been trained by bad agents, by incompetent agents. We can trust these guys. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're screwing it up. So if you set it up from the beginning, look, I understand you want to get this sold for the most money, you want to sell it quickly, you want to walk away with least amount of hassles. That will be my job. But just like you wouldn't go to a dentist and tell him, I want you to use this tool, and I want you to use this medication, I want you to use this Q-tip. It doesn't work that way. You go there with a problem, they fix your problem. Now, the difference is sellers have been trained by bad agents because, let's be honest, most of this industry is very incompetent. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So they have to react. They have to protect themselves. It is your job, and that's why you don't have to sell yourself too much on how different you are. If you have the level of confidence we talked about, if you know how to communicate well, and if you're a market expert and an expert in general, it comes across loud and clear. You don't need to spend a whole lot of time selling yourself on all that. If you don't have it, you're screwed. You're screwed without it because you can't fake it. Not, at least not long term.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
They would chew through it very, very quickly. So my suggestion to you, Dave, is come up with a plan where you know this will sell the property. Now, one of the services I would recommend, look into RealBird. RealBird, one word. It's you input a listing there. One listing, I think it's free, and the subscription is like $99 a year. I'm not an affiliate. I'm not selling RealBird or anything. I just think it's a pretty cool service. They will help you do syndication of your listings. They will post it all over the place. If you feel like you're RealBird,
like
yes. Here, let me write it down. RealBird.com.
Okay.
It's a pretty good service. Even the free version is still good. You can still promote, I don't know, 1 or 2 listings. And if you get the paid subscription, it's like $99 a year. It will create like a Facebook page. Up until recently, when Craigslist screwed up the linking to the photos, they would create a Craigslist ad. But I still think it's a pretty good service. So look into it. Check it out. See if you like it.
I see.
All right?
Yeah, thank you. Can I ask one other question just on the management of business side?
Yeah.
What kind of client marketing or client management software do you like? Like, for example, Zoho versus the other?
I like 2. I like Top Producer. And the reason I like it is because as you grow your company, as you add more features to it, as you add more things to it, it grows with you. It's a Mercedes. of contact management systems. It can be used on multiple devices, your assistants, etc. However, two big howevers to that. One, it's expensive, and two, it's a beast to learn. It will take you some time to figure it out. So the second alternative to that, my preference, is a company called Realty Juggler. Realty Juggler. Really good contact management system. Now, the cool thing about Realty Juggler, and the reason I like them, is because the system was designed by agents. Not some geeky programmers, but guys like you and I who are in real estate. It's inexpensive. Now, we have a partnership with Realty Juggler. Full disclosure, I am one of their affiliates because I like the service, so I recommend it to my customers and my students, to you guys. If you want to give it a try, we have a certificate for 90 days. You can try it for free. You don't even need the credit card or anything. Just give it a shot, see if you like it. It will take you probably a weekend to learn. Once you learn it, pretty cool to use, I think. Now, if you are an Expired Plus customer, if you have my Expired Plus system, we will also set it up so all the letters and sequences are already preloaded for you on the system. Just makes your life a little easier. Okay? So little plug for Realty Juggler.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay. Well,
cool.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, man. Good talking with you. That was Dave.
Yeah.
All right, Dave.
I'll have to look into that. Thank you.
Sweet. All right. All right, you guys. Now, let me just pop the number real quick. If you want to chat with Borino, here is the number. 805-399-1200. You're going to hit code 143153# and *6 to enter the queue. So for those of you guys who are still on the phone, if you want to chat with me, we have a few more minutes left. Hit *6. That will pop you in the queue, and we can talk. All right. So there's one more thing I wanted to give you before we say sayonara, and that is what I would like you to do is, after this call, do it this weekend, is spend a little time answering a couple of questions. Question number 1. What did I do well this year?
Next questioner.
Oh, scare the crap out of me every time. Hold on a second. It's Borino. Hang on. I'm going to put you online just a second. But let me just address these 2 points. What did I do well this year? What is the strength I can build on this year? Your focus, your passion, your perseverance, your expertise. Just the fact that you're here still today with so many who already have quit before you is a strength. So acknowledge yourself and seriously do this genuinely. This is not me blowing smoke up your ass. This is me being genuinely your fan. That's why I do this. So what did you do well? Because you can build on that going forward towards the next year. So that's 1. And 2, come up with a simple plan. And I mean simple. You know me. I'm a big believer in simple. If it's too expensive, if it's too complicated, ain't going to do it. I know I'm not going to do it, and I know you will probably won't either, or you're going to abandon it. So I'm not talking about setting goals. I'm not talking about come up with an elaborate 7-page business plan. What I'm talking about is, remember those 3 things. How am I going to get my leads in 2014? What are the 3 or 4 funnels I'm going to set up to bring, those are funnels, by the way. See, my artistic abilities are absolutely phenomenal. They're going to bring them in. You don't need to have 15 different sources of leads. It's too expensive, it's too complicated, you're not going to manage it well. You're going to half-ass all of them, it's going to suck. So focus on 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Low-hanging fruit first. Start with the easy ones. Expireds, FSBOs, open house leads, referrals. Those should be the funnels. How am I going to get them? What am I going to do? Come up with a simple plan. And then break it down. What do I have to do every month, every week, and every day to get there? That's the 80% we talked about. Then the second thing, how can I improve my follow-up? Just like Dave was saying. My follow-up. What do I have to do? Do I need a system, like the Realty Juggler, or anything else? And if I have a system, do I have a sequence set up that will allow me to be in touch with my people constantly? And then the third one is, just like we talked to Pam, is how is my presentation? Because you can have all the leads in the world, you can have all the appointments in the world, your follow-up may be kick-ass, but if you're not turning them into good listings, and I'm not talking about listings so you stick a sign up there, I'm talking good listings, where you know, oh, this is going to sell, this is a good property. How is your presentation? Get the Presentation Plus. It's really good. It's only a couple $100. You focus on these 3 things, plan them, what do I have to do here, here, and here, you're going to have a really good year. You're going to have a really good year. I don't make many promises, but I promise you this. If you spend, let's just say Sunday, tomorrow, couple hours brainstorming, Writing it down, really do it. One of the tools I love to use is Xmind. It's a mind mapping tool. There are a whole bunch. Some are free, some are paid, doesn't matter. But I do like the relationships and the planning. Everything that I do, whether it's business or preparing webinars for you guys or planning, everything I do is in mind map. So spend a little time doing it, or just grab a piece of paper and a pen. Doesn't matter. But plan this out, and you're going to have a nice, profitable, good year. Okay? All right. And we have Jose. Hey, Jose, it's Moreno. Can you hear me? There's a little bit of a delay, so hang in there with me. Jose, are you there? Looks like we're lost, Jose. Jeremy, how are you doing, brother? Hey, Jeremy, it's Moreno. Can you hear me?
Hey, Borino, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Welcome. Welcome to the tune-up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Having a good time?
Absolutely, man. I'm having a blast. Great stuff so far.
Awesome.
I always appreciate it when you do these calls. I get so much value from them. So thank you.
Nice. So how can I help?
Well, I wanted to see if you'd be able to help me out a little bit, or maybe even role play this with me.
All right.
I do a lot of role play practice with the with some of the guys from the mastermind group that I'm in, and I also do a lot of prospecting. So I get a lot of really good live real world practice also. And every once in a while, I get one that I just haven't encountered before, and I kind of get caught with my pants down, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to respond. And I had one of those this week, and I just wanted to get your opinion on it.
Let's do it.
All right. So I called this expired here. It was Tuesday, and it was a nice property. It was it had been listed at $400,000. And I called, and a woman answered, and she was nice enough, but she quickly asked me to hold on. And I heard her talking to someone in the background. She was talking to her husband. Yeah. And I overheard her saying, there's a realtor on the phone, and her husband said, he kind of sighed, and he goes, another one. He said, okay. So he comes, and this was in the morning too. So they must have been. I'm sure he had been harassed pretty good already. But so he gets on the phone, and he says, and he asks who he's speaking to, and he says, and why are you calling me? I said, well, I see that your house is expired. I said, and I'm just really curious. I said, what happened? Why did the house not sell? Mm-hmm. And he said, maybe you should ask Craig. His realtor's name was Craig. He said, maybe you should ask him. He said, what do you think he would say? And I said, unfortunately, I said, I can't speak for him, and I'm really curious to get your opinion. I said, what was your experience like? And he said, it didn't sell because nothing's selling right now. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. I said, and what makes you? I said, what makes you say that nothing is selling? And he said, well, let me ask you. He said, how many homes have you sold in the last 30 days? He said, in this township, in this price range. Mm-hmm. And I'm in a moment of humility here. I hadn't sold anything in that price range in the last month in that township. So I didn't know what the hell to say. I was kind of left. He definitely caught me off guard, and I responded, and I said, well, I sell homes, all throughout the county here. And I said, and in the last few months, and he kind of cut me off, and he said, if you can't answer my question, he said, I'm done with this conversation, and he hung up. Yeah. So, I mean, he was very short. He was obviously very upset, but I don't know. I still just think that there may have been a better way that I could have handled it. Well, the answer is, did you get the appointment and the listing? Absolutely not. So, that's an easy test to determine whether there could have been a better outcome. But it really depends. And it's a great call, Jeremy, and I really appreciate you being so candid and open, because I think that it'd be nice to kind of analyze it, what happened, and how you can in the future handle these calls differently. It's really nice. You notice, guys, how there is a common thread throughout all these comments and everything we've talked about today. Who was in control of the conversation? He was.
I can't spell control for the life of me. What the hell? Control. Okay. So he was. Why was he in control?
Because I allowed him to be.
Yes. Now, when the client is in control, does the client perceive you as the agent, not you personally, Jeremy, but the agent in general, as high status authority?
No.
No. So now, can both of you be in control?
Absolutely not.
No, impossible. Does he want to be in control?
Does he want to be in control?
Yeah.
Hmm.
What is it that he really wants?
Well, I think he wants his house sold.
I think so too. Now, who is he looking for? High status agent or low status agent?
High status.
High status. How does he test your status?
By seeing if, by asking questions and seeing
Taking
if,
control. Now, if you give up control, you fail the test.
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting it?
Yes.
Yeah? So what can you do differently to regain the Now, it's difficult to recover. When the client has taken over and has a solid grasp, then it's just a matter of him saying, okay, you failed, boom, goodbye, which is really what happened. It was a test.
Mm-hmm.
Does he know it?
Yeah.
No, of course not. People don't do this consciously. But again, they have been trained by army of incompetent salespeople, not just real estate people, but salespeople in general. Car salesman, insurance, every salesman. And we react. We all do, by the way. We all do that. And what I would encourage you guys to do is pay attention to this behavior when you're involved on the receiving end, how you do the same thing. Next time you walk into a store, next time you're dealing with a salesperson, especially low-status, needy salesperson, watch how you do these tests very quickly and how your attitude changes towards that salesperson. Pay attention to that, okay? But going back to this conversation, what could you do differently next time? Because these tests will come again.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you will notice is that customers today, clients today, the attention span is a lot shorter. You would have gotten away with a lot more 3, 4, 5 years from now than you would today.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that? That you really need to be on your A game. That's why I said you want to have 2014 to be a killer year. Those are the 4 things you need to really focus on. So going back to this specific conversation. From the very beginning, you stay in control. See, a basic premise of a conversation is I cannot be thinking about how I'm going to gain control and answer your question at the same time. Human mind cannot do that. We're not wired that way. So if I'm in a conversation with you, one of the things I would do is just keep asking questions. So I would say, Jeremy, let me ask you. Now, here's just as a general rule based on what you described today, based on what you described, when he says, well, why don't you ask my agent? There's a reason A is bringing it up, and there is a way to gain control back, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say things like,
Okay.
Jeremy, that's a really good point. I think I should, but I'm afraid he may get a little pissed because he didn't get the job done. Where did you guys want to go? What was the original plan, if I may ask? See what I did? I'm being honest. I gave him an answer, but I'm still in control of the conversation. Now, I wouldn't probably spend a whole lot of time analyzing what went wrong, especially if I feel like they're getting irritated about the subject, which some people will be. It is not a pleasant thing to talk about that somebody screwed up. They hired the wrong guy. That's really what he was telling you, that he's an idiot. They got their hopes up. They got excited. They hired this guy who was some kind of an asshole who didn't get the job done. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I would start
absolutely.
shifting their focus into, where did you guys want to go? How soon would you like to be there? What if we could find somebody? Now, when they start, let's say the question does come up. How many homes have you sold? You answered it honestly. However, he was already looking for evidence to discard you.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't that, it would have been something else.
Yeah.
So that to get around it, I would say things like, I'm very picky about who I work. I don't base it on geographical location. I think in this day and age, it's not that important. But I have a couple of simple rules. One, I only list properties I know I can sell. And I only work with people that I like. And people who like me and trust me. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to stop by for about 5 minutes just to shake your hand. The old-fashioned way. See if we like each other. See if we get along. You can ask me questions. I'll have some questions for you. I'll take a quick look at your house. And if we click, if we like each other, down the road, if you decide to put the house back on the market, I'd love to come back and talk to you. If not, no harm done. I could be there tomorrow at 3:35. Would that work for you? That's it. Make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. I really like that. And yeah, and I know, by the time that he had asked me that question, I had already lost control.
Yes. What I would do is from the beginning, when there was an exchange between a husband and a wife, call them out on it. And I would use humor. I'm like, you guys are hashing out a game plan to get rid of me. Be honest. Because you've been bugged by so many agents today, you're sick and tired of it. Tell me the truth. Am I right? You can't help but not laugh at it. Now, what did I do? Establish high status. You notice that? Because I call them out on it. I tell them, I know you got to put up with a lot of bullshit, a lot of people calling and bugging you, and everybody's a world champion now who can get your home sold in 3 days. Where were they when the house was up for sale? I appreciate you taking my call. I'd be pissed. I wouldn't be talking to all these salespeople. It sucks, and I understand that. But what if, just kind of bear with me, what if we could find somebody who would like your house and really fall in love with it? And would be willing to pay you something fair, a fair price you guys would be happy with. Would you consider putting it back on the market? Do you still want to live somewhere else? Or did you completely give up on it? Mm-hmm. Is that dream dead? Very careful choice of words. Is your dream dead? Feel that?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah? No, I just made it up.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty good line.
That's the thing. That's all. That's you. That's part of you. You have all that stuff on tap.
Yes.
Ready to be recalled at any moment.
But you made a critical point at the beginning, Jeremy. Practice. Mm-hmm. I was not born with this skill. Trust me. Trust me. You should have heard me in the beginning. God, I pray I could find some of the old recordings of myself when I started practicing these things. Guys, that would be the most entertaining tape I would ever produce. American Funniest Videos have nothing on that. Trust me, it was a disaster. But the reason I stayed with it is because I could see the progress. Just like you, Jeremy. You practice, you role play. I guarantee you, today you're better than you were 30 days ago. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, 30 days from now, if you stay with it, you're going to get better. Because next time this guy, and I assure you, there'll be more people who will try to gain control and be a little snarky with you or do whatever they do. You'll be able to just say, I know how to handle this. Easy breezy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Using humor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Using humor, calling them up on it, gaining control, asking the right questions, and feeling. You know where one of the mastery elements comes in, Jeremy? You feel out which way you can take the conversation. Should you spend more time talking about what went wrong at their previous agent? Should you spend more time talking about where they want to go and why? You will feel out which path gets the most connection. The conversation doesn't need to be long. All you want is that face-to-face meeting set up very quickly. That's the purpose of the call. Mm-hmm. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very, very good. Is this being recorded? Is this call being recorded?
Yes.
Will there be a replay available?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be posted on Listing University, and we'll pop it on YouTube as well.
Okay.
All right, my man.
Good. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I know. Each time that I encounter something like this, it's important to me to to look at it and be able to break it down a little bit, so that way I can be better prepared for next time.
Yes.
My initial reaction when this happened was, I want to bury that one deep in the archives and make sure no one ever knows about it. But I know that by putting it out there, by just facing it and asking for help, I know that ultimately I can grow and be more prepared for
absolutely.
Future, so.
Absolutely. Plus, now you're going from just memorizing lines and dialogues, which is not a bad place to start because you got to start somewhere, to understanding human psychology. The reason why I can come up with these lines, like you said, because that's me, is because I've done it so much. I don't have to focus on the words alone anymore. It becomes an unconscious competence. I can start analyzing what is the fear behind it. Because their behavior is driven by fear. What are they afraid of? They're going to hire the wrong agent again. Somebody who's never sold a house in their area. They're going to get stuck and screwed again. They're going to sell for less. It's going to be a painful process. They're going to get some pain-in-the-ass buyer that's going to demand all kinds of nonsense. And it's going to take forever. Those are all these fears they deal with. Now, they will not just come out and tell you, but you as an expert communicator, you will be able to feel it out and even ask them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
got it.
All right, Jeremy. Hey, thanks, man. Always good talking with you, my man.
Yeah, very, very helpful. Always
Cool.
a pleasure. Thank you very
Cool.
much.
Thanks. That's Jeremy, real estate rockstar. And our last call of the day is from Mr. Jim. Welcome to the tune-up, Senor Jim. Hey, Jim, can you hear me? I think he's on a delay because the video is about 60 seconds behind. We're feeding it live to the YouTube media servers, and Jim is probably mesmerized by my discussion with Jeremy on the screen and can't hear us. All right, so, hey, Jim, are you there? Looks like he's not. All right, so you will be the last caller of the day. Who is this? Hello?
Hello, Bruno.
Yeah, it's Marino.
Hi, Bruno. It's me, Abraham. This is my first time to attend your live call because I'm still working. I have my part-time job. But anyway,
hey, Abraham.
Yeah, I like your expired plus system.
Thank
and
you.
just like the one on the call, like Mary.
Yes.
I don't know if it's Mary, her name.
Yes.
Is maybe I'm losing those appointments because of my listing presentation. So
Yes.
yeah, I think I gonna think about it of getting your listing presentation.
I would consider doing it, Abraham. And again, I'm not here to sell you on anything. I do want to tell you about the double your listing. But the reason I think is because, think about it this way. You work your butt off. Prospecting, marketing, following up, setting up appointment. It takes a lot of work, right? It takes a lot of money and it takes effort. Then, how much time and effort do you put in preparing a good CMA? It takes a few hours to make sure you're right on, you have all the paperwork, right? Then you go out there, you spend another hour, hour and a half presenting, sitting down with the client, and what do you get? Nothing. You either end up with an overpriced listing or no listing frequently. My suggestion would be, why reinvent the wheel if you can take the system that's pretty easy to follow? I mean, the videos are easy to follow. I break down the human psychology. What makes people like you? What makes people decide we're going to go with this person because we trust them? And how can you ethically influence them? I'm not talking about manipulation here. You know what I mean? This is not some kind of a dark magic voodoo shenanigans. Could it be used that way? Probably. I mean, in the wrong hands. But I know you guys. You're cool and awesome people. So I know you won't abuse it. But you can use it to your advantage. At least, if nothing else, level the competition, level the playing field with your competition, because I guarantee you, if there's an agent in your area who's selling a lot of homes and listing a lot of good listings, most likely he's using the same principles. So you got to have the same firepower than they do. So instead of wasting all that time and energy, get more good listings using these tools. And it makes it easy. It's not that hard. Even as a brand new agent, if you're not getting at least minimum 50% of the listings, you're screwing it up. If you've been in the business for a while, you should be batting 80-90%. Or you're talking to the wrong people, which again can be fixed. Meaning you go and sit in front of the sellers who either don't want to sell or don't have to sell or are not realistic. So either way, it can be fixed so that when you do sit down with them, you get paid, you get rewarded, and you can do a good job for them, you can help them.
Yeah.
Make sense?
That's correct, yeah. Yes, Bruno, yes.
Good. Anything else I can help you with?
No, I'm listening with your webinar right now, and it's great. It's
good.
Great. I like it.
Awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for the feedback. Really appreciate it.
Yes. Yep.
All right, you guys. Well, looks like we're going to wrap it up. One thing I wanted to tell you real quick about. We are almost 2/3 through a program called Double Your Listings. And it is a workshop that I put together. It's a boot camp I put together. And the reason I did it as a boot camp is because instead of me giving you another set of books, another program that you may or may not use, I came up with Double Your Listings. It's a 7-week program where you and I will actually work on those three moving parts. Remember what we talked about. How to get leads, how to turn a follow-up on so you get appointments from those leads, and how to turn those appointments into listings. So for 7 weeks, we're going to work together. We launched the first one 5 weeks ago, and the results have been pretty cool. People really like it. They really enjoy it. Every week, we work together live on your business. First, we're going to set up the funnels. How to get expireds, how to get for sale by owners, and how to get referrals. That's phase 1. In phase 2, we're going to build your follow-up. That means you start generating the leads. We're going to start converting them into appointments. And in the final phase, we're going to turn those appointments into listings. So you and I, for 7 weeks, very intense. It's a small group. I usually take about 30 people. so that you have access to me. You can ask questions. Every week we go on a live webinar, just you and I being on the webinar. You can ask questions, and I'll explain to you each week a portion of the business you're going to be implementing. But here's where it gets really interesting. There's homework, and maybe some of you watching it are part of the boot camp. You're having a good time, right? We're enjoying it. You're going to work on assignments. There'll be accountability. Because remember what I said at the beginning, it is not as much about your knowledge. Clean up. It is not about what you know. More knowledge will not make you successful and wealthy. It's doing things, doing the right things, that will. So for 7 weeks, there'll be assignments, and there'll be reports. There'll be accountability. So I will crack my whip and make sure that you actually get things done. By the end of the 7th week, we're going to get on the phone live, where I'll answer your questions, answer your concerns. We share success stories and some issues and problems that you may have throughout the program. But those are the 3 basic elements. We're going to set up complete systems for you. A lead generation system. There are 3 expireds, FSBOs, and referrals. A follow-up system, complete follow-up system. And at the end, listing presentation system. So you have pretty much a business in a box. So if you want to knock it out of the park in 2014, if you want to take a shortcut, and if you want me to help you, I want to work with you. This is my official invitation for you. I don't have anything fancy other than shoot me an email. It is borino@expiredplus.com. And here's what's going to happen. Send me an email, send me, hey Borino, I want to know more about it. I want to know more about the Double Your Listings Bootcamp. We're going to send you an email with some basic questions, some basic background about you. If you feel it's something that you want to pursue, something that sounds interesting or would help your business, we're going to get on the phone. You and I will talk for about 10 minutes or so. You can ask me questions. I have some questions for you to make sure that we're a good match, that you are the right candidate, that I feel you would benefit from the program, and you feel like I really have the right tools for you that will fit your personality, your business, and your marketplace. If you want to come aboard, I'd love to talk to you. We'll see if we can put it together. And with that, my friends, this is the final hello and goodbye of this year. This is our final Q&A this year. This is the final tune-up that we're going to do for you this year, but there's a whole bunch of new stuff coming. So stay tuned. For those of you guys who are members of my Listing University, it's awesome to have you on board. We're going to have some pretty killer training coming your way. If you have any questions or if you have any specific training you want to do, let me know, and I will definitely put it on the calendar, put it on the agenda. It's been great chatting with you. We spent almost 2 hours. Is that right? That's pretty amazing. That was a long call, but I really enjoyed talking with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get some value out of it. If you have any questions, here's my email, borino@expiredplus.com. Shoot me an email. Let me know. I'm here to help. I want to make sure that the stuff I teach you makes a difference in your life and in your business. The stuff I share with you is helpful, and it makes you not just a better agent, but a better person, makes your life better, easier, and more profitable. That's really my goal for 2014. Your coach in Borino saying thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, appreciate all of you guys, my students, my subscribers, and my clients. With that, I wish you a lovely weekend. It's been great chatting with you today. This is Borino signing off saying, let's go get 'em. Bye, everybody.